attention. Go.
So Freya Ketto there, the two-woman in the Thames and Neptune crew with a hand up, just checking that the boat was straight. She's a historian at Brown University in the States. A lot of women get scholarships at State University now, don't they, Adam?
They do, yeah. It's definitely a bit of a pathway for a lot of athletes these days. Just checking in there, so actually that Bath and Plymouth crew, good, strong off the blocks there. They had a pretty tough race yesterday against Tideway Scullers, beat them by 3/4 of a length, so they're already pretty battle-hardened and know how tough these races can be, but they look like they've taken a bit of an initial lead here over the Thames and Neptune crew, half a length potentially.
Yeah, now it's going to be interesting to see if that race, that lead does stretch out during the course of this race. They look like they're just not quite inching away. The Thames have kind of held them. So it might not be terminal in this race. It's just going to be crucial, I think, the next 200-300 metres, who manages to maintain a lot of their start pace.
I think you're right there, Martin. Looking at the yellow boat there of the Thames Rowing Club and Neptune Rowing Club, definitely look like they're a bit more measured. They've got a slightly lower rating and they're potentially just gripping up and just pushing that boat a little bit further per stroke here. And actually, as we watch here, that yellow boat, really good shot of the bows there. You can sort of see it's beginning to start slicing through. Well,
you know, I have to say, looking at this race, it's not the most obvious race to think of, but I'm reminded of the Olympic final in men's eights, where the New Zealand eight that won the gold medal weren't the quickest to 500, but they rode a very flat pace, slowing down the least through the second 500, where they went to, I think, lead at the 1,000 metres. And Thames and Neptune have done exactly that. They've kept their start pace high, and the crew from Bath University in Plymouth have just dropped off a little bit, and you can see the result of that.
Yeah, that's been a pretty decisive move there, hasn't it? Well, when I say move, I mean as in change of lead there. As you said, it's been a solid base pace speed there from the Thames and Neptune crew, but they're just beginning to walk away now. And Dan Harris's crew from Bath and Plymouth are definitely going to have to sort of find another gear here, aren't they, if they want to stay in contact?
Yeah, it's not what you want. So we've got the Thames and Neptune crew on the right of your picture, Bath and Plymouth on the left of your shot. The Thames and Neptune crew, Claire Feerick, her back's closest to you. You can see with that black sash across. Freya Ketto, we've talked about the two women, and Ferreo Bukawo in the 19-year-old in the 3 seats. Takes her name from the Urowoko tribe in Nigeria. And Ilo Luik, the veteran in the crew, the 33-year-old stroking that boat, did so brilliantly through that start phase into their rhythm. And they are the 4 women powering that boat that you can see on the right of the screen. Pretty much looks a bit like a Clearwater lead, Adam.
It does, yeah. And as you mentioned, the athletes in there, Vowera is an interesting future talent for us. She's on the world-class start programme. Grew up in Brixton, which is where I live, so good to see a sort of fellow local sort of doing well. And she's had a brilliant experience in rowing so far. She went to the World Urban Games and competed in the indoor rowing competition, which is pretty funky. I mean, out there they do at the World Urban Games there's like frisbee and breakdancing, but there was also a challenge indoor rowing competition as well, which she came third in, which is fantastic.
That is amazing. That's really good information, Adam. I love that. And Thames continue to move away from the Bath University crew. Let's give them a name check. Closest to us in the bows, Rachel Burrows, then Phoebe Hayden, Laura Macro, the 24-year-old in the 3 seats, and then the youngster of the crew, Rosa Thompson, just 21. It's her first Henley Royal Regatta, stroking that boat from Bath.
And it's Laura, who rows down in Plymouth, is she had actually sort of packed her bags for rowing, and she was sort of pursuing other sports. I think triathlon was one of them, and it was only when the lightweight was reintroduced for Paris that she was like, hey ho, I want to get back in the rowing boats, have another crack at this. And she gave Dan a call and got herself involved in that crew and that setup in the west of England there, and here she is racing today. But now on our screen, back to the Thames and Neptune crew as they take a commanding lead over the Bath University and Plymouth crew.
Yeah, it's pretty much into cruise pace, that looks like now, doesn't it? Just nice and easy. letting the boat move gently off the back end. They kind of haven't quite gone down into sort of the paddling pace, because that Bath University crew is just doing enough to keep them honest at, what is it, a length and a half of clear water.
Yeah, it's still looking dangerous, isn't it? I don't think the nerves will settle. There'll still be quite a lot of adrenaline in there, isn't there? Because it's not a really comfortable lead, and I think that's reflected by the rate of striking. You know, they're still just making sure that they keep a good solid buffer there. It's always a good shot, this, isn't it, when you can see the sort of the propulsion here in terms of driving down the boat and then leaning the backs on it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Quite a lot. I think when they had that overhead camera at the London Olympics for the first time, or maybe actually in Beijing, they had it for the last 250, and people actually saw overhead pictures of rowing, and they were going, "What, you mean rowers use their legs to go up and down the slide?"
Yeah, it's always the trademark thing, isn't it, when you say to someone, "Oh yeah, we were a rower," and then they get their arms out and give you a bit of a bicep, you know, and it's not quite what rowing's all about. But these girls have definitely been. Speaking to both coaches, actually, there's been a lot of creativity with doing their training during the sort of lockdown periods. I know Claire was being very creative with training in her back garden and chasing her dog Rafa around, and Dan Harris very kindly showed us pictures of his Bath and Plymouth crew and how they were using tins of paint and broomsticks and bags of books and trying to find anything to create some sort of apparatus for weight training.
That's wonderful, isn't it? You can get a shot there of Laura Macro in the 3-seat, one back from stroke woman, and she's just 58 kilos. So that, you know, is great to hear, that the announcement by the International Olympic Committee that coastal rowing wouldn't happen in Paris, that lightweight rowing would have another Olympics, lightweight men's double sculls, lightweight women's double sculls. And if that's tempted her back to challenge the likes of Imogen Grant and Emily Craig, then, you know, that's all to the good. Crowds in the enclosures, the crews coming up to what they're calling commentary the hole in the wall. I don't think we can quite get a shot of that wall to show you, but it's a traditional point on the Henley Regatta course, and the crew's approaching us now here in the commentary box.
Thames and Neptune look like they've finally sort of taken the pressure off themselves, and they're just beginning to coast it in and out as they feel confident enough that they've got this in the bag.
Yeah, I think Thames and Neptune could get a little bit more boat speed, just a few little discrepancies on the front end, which, you know, you can tidy up and progress through the regatta. But in this semi-final of the Princess Grace Challenge Cup, Thames and Neptune have beaten fairly comfortably Bath University and Plymouth A.R.C. Club.